Greetings and thanks for joining us today for another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 166. Good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is at QNITY. And whether you're listening to this, watching this live or a podcast or the YouTube, we're glad you're with us today. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. I'm also CEO and founder of QNITY. A light bulb moment is one that is a sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And we all need sparks. We all need those moments of inspiration. Remember, you can't start a fire without a spark. So hopefully get some sparks today. And at QNITY, we're here to take you from what's confusing, overwhelming, and complicated to a clear path towards prosperity. And to prosper, remember to manage your three currencies we all have in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious time with us today. We love hearing from you, whether it's a guest idea, a light bulb moment to your own. Certainly use the chat today. The chat is monitored in a good way. Monitored, that sounds like policed. It is used to help foster conversation. So use the chat, but also send us an email or reach out if you have a light bulb moment of your own, you know of a potential guest, want to be a guest, whatever. Our special guest today is Jody Rivera, who's a seasoned hairstylist and then also the proud founder of Swamp Mermaid Beauty Project in Austin, Texas. I happen to be staying at a hotel literally around the corner from Jody the other day. I walked by her salon. I knew she was in Austin. I was going to look her up anyway, but little did I realize how close she was. So anyway, we had a great conversation yesterday, and she's agreed to be our guest today. And she has a very, very, what is the right word? A wonderful story, let's put it that way. All right, so we'll get to Jody in a little bit. Recent episodes, our last one, another great episode with Shannon Drexler, who's the owner of Amber Waves Salon. The topic is really about losing a senior stylist, especially what it's like to use your most seasoned and top performer in the entire business, and the good and the bad and all of that that goes with us. A very inspiring episode, actually. You should check it out. Shannon's a very inspiring person. Lightbulb Moments is sponsored by Lightheart Sanders, the CPA company, Green Circle Salons, and Forest. Thanks to all of them for helping to make this possible, as well as other members of the QNITY team to pull these off, so we do them each week. Also, Aaron's podcast, Money O2, has some great episodes and great money-related stories. In Lightbulb Moments, we don't always focus just on money. We do cover a lot of money topics, but Aaron's podcast is definitely focused on thought leaders really throughout the world as it relates to money matters. So check it out. We have a current data project in the works. Please participate and advocate for. Usually we are doing one or two relatively large-scale data projects, and this is one. And this is the P&L benchmark study. It is open for submission. We have extended the deadline. You still have time to participate. Don't stress over it, but do participate. Profitability is a metric everybody really is honed in on. However, there's really been no recent in-depth studies, brand neutral type studies, pre or post-pandemic, actually, that systematically goes through and takes a fresh look at it. But we do need participation. It's super simple. It's the simplest we've ever made something like this. It's a short survey, and then you upload an Excel file. And what you'll do is not only would you contribute to creating more data-driven benchmarks, but you also get a scorecard and then a free P&L assessment. The most important thing for us is participation. So please participate. It's super easy and quick. Somebody will put it in the chat. You can also find it on our webpage. So check it out and be part of it. We've got some great sponsors in this. Lightheart Sanders is not only a sponsor, they're also the independent data firm. Neil, Wella, Aveda, Boulevard, Zenoti are all sponsoring this. So this is a large-scale project. So please participate and advocate for upcoming dates. We have 2 to 10 coming up. multi-location only. It's October 20th and 22nd. If you've received an invitation, you should sign up. If you haven't received an invitation, you're multi-location, let us know. This will be is it the 14th year, I think, of 2 to 10? And we're mixing it up a little bit this year. We're making it more of a leadership retreat. Very, very special event. Succession Masterclass, we have changed that. It is now going to actually be a little bit more of an event in January in New Orleans. So more information coming on that. We also have a profit program coming up in person November 18th. New location instead of Austin, Texas. It's going to be in Salt Lake City. So we have that coming up. We also have a cohort group going through that's really about the implementation of the system, which not only gives you great financial management that you'll carry on for the rest of your time as a owner, manager, or leader, but you also have a more predictable path towards prosperity. So it's great profit tips, but it's also a system that you won't grow out of. And so there's an implementation group led by Candice Gliato. And there's a QR code. We can also put this in the chat. Then we also have something very similar with our growth program. That is happening Tuesday, November 19th. Also, the locations have been changed, that one to Salt Lake City. And this is really about getting top line growth, working with the leadership team and extending through to your team for their performance. That program is led by Candice Gliato and Laura Graven. We've had several people go through this sort of virtual implementation group, and the results are just remarkable. So check it out. My light bulb moment this week, I think I'm going to save for the conversation with Jody because, it's super interesting to me to look at a boutique model, a boutique salon model, and how someone's creativity and life's evolutions and things that they learn along the way leads them on a path that sometimes is not totally predictable. But there's so many different ways that someone can really express themselves in the world, in the salon world, as an owner. And I just think it's a really cool and interesting story. So anyway, let's do this. Let's bring Jody to the mic and the camera. And while that's happening, I'm going to read Jody's bio because it's very well written and it'll allow us to get to the conversation a little bit quicker. So Jody's a seasoned hairstylist and the proud founder of Swamp Mermaid Beauty Project in Austin, Texas. Note to self, the use of project. I want to unpack that later. All right. With over 27 years experience, began her career in Soho after relocating from Houston. Didn't love Houston as a place to settle down, to pursue an apprenticeship. Initially, Jody explored the dynamic worlds of photo shoots and music videos in New York, honing her skills in both hair and makeup. However, she discovered her true fashion lie in fostering personal connections within the more intimate setting of a boutique salon. Jody decided to focus on building lasting relationships with a dedicated clientele and mentor stylist and cosmetic tattoo artist. 2015, Jody opened Swamp Mermaid Beauty Project, which has become a haven for both hair services and cosmetic tattooing. First time we've had a cosmetic tattoo specialist in Lightbulb Moments. Reflecting her core values of acceptance, perseverance, and transparency. At Swamp Mermaid, Jody and her team continue to offer personalized solutions, ensuring every client leaves feeling beautiful and confident.
Thank you. I liked that.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, great to see you again here. And it was nice to see your salon. It's in a great location. You can tell it's a creative haven, and you have an upstairs area for for meetings, for photo shoots and whatever. So you can definitely see it's a creative space. So, but we need to go back a little bit further. So you so when you first got into cosmetology, you dropped out of high school, and then you wanted to do hair and makeup in New York. So you finished school in Houston, then right to New York. So let's just spend a minute on that chapter, okay?
Yeah, sure. I dropped out at the beginning of 10th grade, not even towards the end. I was like, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to do hair and makeup. I knew that I wanted to do it in New York. And I just I'm still a very determined person, but I wasn't gonna let things get in my way, such as high school. But it was actually everyone understood. Everyone knew that I had this passion and that I was actually going to follow through with what I was wanting to do. And I did. I went to cosmetology school back in the 1900s, and then moved straight to New York to do my apprenticeship there, that was really important to me to be able to just work in that kind of environment, especially in Soho. It was a dream.
And then how did you end up? So then you went to Austin, and you've been in Austin now for 23 years. So you were there 3.5 years or so in New York, and then you've settled in Austin, and then you said opening Swamp Mermaid was an accident. So let's go through that a little bit.
Yeah, accidents happen all the time, and it usually happens when you're just good at what you do, you love it, and you get busier. And then if you don't watch it, it can grow too big. Um, and if that's the goal, then great. But it really strange enough, it crept up on me. I had an assistant for actually 4 years and she still works with me. We're 17 years together now.
Oh.
She's thriving. But we just got so busy double booking clients and had to open our own space, which just happened to have enough room for a couple of other chairs. And I had a couple of friends that just happened to want to hang out with us. And then, we just grew so quickly from there. And it was a day that a stylist didn't show up for her client. And I was like, oh no, who's going to tell her? I'm like, oh, that's me. I have to deal with this. Got it. And that's just how it started. And I think I was really terrified in that moment moving forward. Like, I'm a business owner. How did I do this? Did I want to do it?
So
And
almost a reluctant entrepreneur. I mean, sort of
yeah,
just led along on a path, and the natural progression was just to open a salon. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And then now I want to come back to that in a little bit, but you got into this area of cosmetic tattooing, and how long you've been doing that?
17, 18 years.
Why doesn't that happen more in salons?
The cosmetic tattoo part,
Hmm.
it really is a unique industry. I don't like I do hair and cosmetic tattooing, and I don't know anyone else that does. And I don't know of any salons that do offer cosmetic tattooing. It's even though it's all in the beauty industry, it is very, very different. And a lot of times when you think of cosmetic tattooing, you think of like the old school kind of like lots of eyeliner so much that it can actually age a woman, which is the reason why I got into it. I had several hair clients that went and got permanent makeup done. And when they came back to me for their hair, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, I have a lot of tattoos. I have a lot of friends that do tattoos. And if you can tattoo a portrait of someone's grandmother or a dog, why can't we tattoo liner, brows, a lip blush? Like clearly it can be done. So then I had to do it. I'm self-taught. And it's always in moments like this conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, that is the way I did that. That's wild. Okay. But yes, I am self-taught and I just believe in extremely natural cosmetic tattooing enhancements, not to replace makeup.
I'm still, as you said, I mean, they're very different crafts and different industries and all that, but you've bridged it.
Yeah.
And you bridged it and you're still doing it. So it's not like you tried it, been there, done it. And so it still kind of leaves me this question that if you've been able to do this And if it's something that creates an enhanced service, an enhanced product offering, actually never talked about this like with almost anybody. I mean, it just seems to be symbiotic, but I don't know.
It's a unique situation for sure. It really works for me, and obviously always had. I was having to do hair, my clients in a salon, and then I rented a little like studio to do cosmetic tattooing. And that's when we had to like move along and open our own spot so that I could do it together and teach. But yeah, I don't really know many stylists that have a lot of interest in doing both. It's a lot of work.
Yeah. All right. So then kind of back to the whole ownership thing. So you find yourself as almost being the reluctant owner, and then next thing you know, you move into even bigger space with bigger rent, bigger responsibilities, and sort of take me through that chapter.
We were doing really well at the spot that we initially moved into. It was very comfortable. The rent was very low. And it was one of those situations where someone came to me and said, "Hey, there's this blowout salon that has a beautiful build out. They've been open for 9 months. They're not making it. They want to like pass along this space." And I said, "Absolutely not." And then 6 months later, they asked me again. So I went to see it, and it was definitely beautiful. And then I thought maybe this is a sign. We're growing. This location's amazing. You know, I'm not really afraid of taking risk. So to me, it was just like this door opened. I said, no, it's still open. Let's do it. Let's go for it. But of course, in doing that, my rent more than tripled, along with all the other, utilities and fun stuff.
When you were saying that you never planned for this, you didn't even want to own your own business. It just happened. And so you weren't really prepared for it. You had no tools or education. You were spending money faster than it was coming in. So that's a tough era. So you sort of got slapped in the face right away then, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it was very confusing. It's like I'm busy, my staff is busy. There's so much money coming in, but at the end of the month, I'm like, where did it go? And how come no one's happy? Like my employees, like everyone was just there was so much gossip and all the things that just, worst nightmare at the end of the day. I was like, how is this happening? We're all busy, we're all talented.
Mhm.
And it wasn't until earlier this year someone said to me to hire happy people and train them instead of hiring talented people that are jerks with
Mhm.
the ego and all the things. So that was a big one to hear.
So then you had a salon of employees. There was a walkout. Wasn't really structure. Maybe not the best employees to begin with. You became burnout and closed your business after 7 years.
Yeah, it was about 1 year ago. I took my family, my husband and I, we took my teen and 23-year-old son. We went to a trip to Spain for almost 2 weeks. We went to Barcelona, and I'm laying there on this balcony drinking coffee. I'm like, why am I doing all of this? Like, literally, like, just one of those moments. I know that if I just have a small spot and literally do my clients, I could probably work 15 hours a week and be set. So I'm like, why am I making everything so complicated? So I went back to Austin, came back to Austin and decided to it ended up being a siesta, didn't it? With my business closing for 3 months, she just needed a good nap. It was just really clear to me that what I was doing was not working. I just was going in circles, like chasing my tail. Um, it's really hard to justify living paycheck to paycheck when there's so much money coming in. It's like I'm just doing it wrong. And then employee retention and finding the right people was just such a challenge. And I'm like, I'm just not good at it. that was it. I was like, I'm not good at this. I'm a high school dropout. Just the stuff that we, the things that go on, the things that we tell ourselves. And so I really needed that break to kind of figure out, like, deep down, what is important to me? What is my legacy? Um, just all the deep thoughts for a solid 3 months. And then it just dawned on me. It's like, I love the people part. I love the people part so much. And maybe what I need to do is to learn how to be a leader instead of assuming that I'm a leader. I think I'm a natural leader and I'm definitely a people person, but man, throw some structure in there from QNITY and it is like brand new.
Well, yeah, that's a pretty, so you close your business after 7 years and then 3 months later. I mean, I could see a hiatus of maybe a year, 18 months, 2 years, but that you came to a pretty quick realization and then moved into action right away.
Yeah, you know what happened, Tom? I'm glad you saw our space here in Mueller. Before closing that other location, I was in contact with the landlord here where we are now for over a year, going back and forth because they were being built. It was available, then it wasn't available. I put a deposit. They told me that they weren't going to rent it. It was just a nightmare. And it just wasn't on the table anymore. And so I closed the salon 3 months later, trying to figure out like where I'm going to reopen, when I'm going to do it. And then I get an email saying that spot you want is now available. I'm like, here we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was a trigger event that sort of came.
Yeah.
I'm sure you took it a little bit as a sign, you know.
Yeah.
So
Everything's a sign.
yeah. And so close the business after 7 years, take a hiatus, reclaim your life, um, have just a minute, and you're opening up a new business, but you come at it with a different perspective. I think what I'm understanding is, I think as you said, you gave yourself permission to learn how to run the business because I'm imagining that you just really had the creative mindset that was, hey, if we're, do great work and have great people, everything else take care of itself. But there's leadership, there's, operations, there's the function. So you had this newfound energy pretty quickly to really learn the business.
Yeah, absolutely. In reopening, there was a product line that we carried before for a very long time. And for whatever reason, I just felt like I was ready for something new, and started looking into new product lines. And it wasn't until I did that and was introduced to the team at Neil, um, I was just astonished at like how much I didn't know about, like, I didn't know how much support was actually right there. Well, with when you're working with the right people, of course. And
Mhm.
it was just that instant click of everything just falling into place, like making all these big choices and then everything that was following them was just all this like really great kind of like all signs point to yes with the decisions that I'm making and stuff like that.
Well, I'm sure, you mentioned that yesterday about Neil too and the support, and they're frequent guests on here too, and shout out to them because I do know that they have that touch that's needed, and um, they're I think a rare organization that provides that extra support. So
Yeah.
yeah, so. You opened up this location a year ago,
Yep.
and Mueller. Let's describe Mueller for listeners. So it's a neighborhood within Austin, and if I understand it, it's where the old airport was. It was already a great neighborhood, but where the old
Mhm.
airport was a new development that was very strategic and well done and all of that. But it's a great area, just like north and west of like the hub of Austin. Is it north and east? Is that correct?
East, northeast. yeah, I mean, there's just parks and it's it's a community where I mean, there's a lot of like new apartment buildings where you have renters, and then there's a
Yep.
lot of like townhouses and stuff like that. So you have a lot of people coming in, buying these houses, having babies, planting seeds. So it has that neighborhood feel, but just like you can kind of walk a block in any direction and hit a fantastic restaurant or a trail to go around the park. And just like, you know, the Mueller vibe, everyone is just so cool and sweet and supportive. It's a
Yeah.
community of its own. It's like a little town within Austin for sure.
Awesome. We're actually gonna, part of the reason I stayed at the hotel in Mueller, as I mentioned this to our listeners, is because we're actually doing a November planning and execution workshop at that hotel in Mueller. So you'll have some people right around the corner from you, Jody, coming up in November. They should stop over and say hi when they're in town. So
Yeah, for sure.
what other lessons do you have for a entrepreneur that maybe is burned out or knows that she or he's going down the wrong path? Any lessons you have?
I think the biggest I guess my light bulb moment actually was learning how to give instead of just giving. Like I just want to make everyone happy, make sure everyone has all the clients. I'm going to exhaust myself trying to provide for everyone. But as soon as I really discovered that and knew that deeply about myself, I had to learn how to give. So, for example, I used to buy the whole staff lunch like a few times a week, just like, "Oh, we're going to make this so easy. This is so great. I love feeding you guys." And now it's like, hey, here's the retail number. Here's the goal. When you reach it, we're going to have, you know, we're going to do lunch that Saturday. Um, and it just that one little thing changed the mindset of the whole staff. It really was like my true light bulb moment of like, oh yeah, people want goals, people want to check in, people want to know how they're doing. You know, we all have our love languages. What are those? So just adding structure because sometimes structure can feel like something I don't, there's definitely too much structure out there where it makes it unattractive for a creative type to want to work in a salon where it's like robot salon. So it's about finding that happy place in the middle where you get to come in, be yourself, be creative, but also like know what your goals are, know what your numbers are. Um, and just having that kind of interaction with an owner, I think, because I've never had it when I worked in other salons, I'm able to give since that's my thing. I'm able to give, but now I'm giving to the people who have worked for it and need it most, but also giving with structure. It's just been a game changer.
You know, it's so in line with the community idea,
Mhm.
happy place in the middle, and how structure can coexist in a creative environment, and how creativity can actually thrive with structure, but it has to be that happy middle, enough structure, but not too much.
Yeah.
I love you said that, and I wrote that down really, the happy place in the middle, because I do believe, and we talk about the magic of the middle and substituting the word and for or. So instead of being a really creative environment or a really strong, structured business environment, instead of or, it's and. So a thriving creative environment and structured for success. I'm
Literally.
happy for you, Jody. Yeah, I think this is really cool. Before we wrap up here, I mentioned to you that there, you like this, you find your happy place, which is probably more of a boutique salon.
Right.
And but you mentioned to me when we spoke that you might be on the move again. How come? You just moved into this space a
Oh
year ago.
man.
Explain to our listeners why.
So we are currently in a unique, the building that we're in is unique and it's a live work space. we are utilizing the whole space, for the salon and cosmetic tattoo side. No one could live here. I wish my life was that simple sometimes, but um, because it is a live workspace, it's a residential lease. And at the time of coming in here and signing that, because I was still like trying to figure out if I was ever going to even be good at being a business owner. Um, that was just something, it just worked in that moment. And there's come a space available that's pretty close to here. It's a commercial space and it is like just a shell, and I get to literally build my dream salon from the ground up.
Mm.
And the most exciting part is the team that I'm building now gets to come into this new beautiful space with like this structure and like, uh, I mean, also shout out to my coach, Jody. She's been so amazing. I mean, I feel like I'm sure that everyone that you guys work with is like unique, but also literally the same. Like we're all kind of going through the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, awesome. Jody, I know that, yeah, Jody, I see being a great partner to you, which is wonderful. And, you know, back to your space for a moment. So that type of lease is only available for 14 months, right?
Right.
So you could get notice any particular time. So part of your reason to move, even after just 1 year, is that you know there's a pending threat that you might be forced to move. So why not, be in the front end of it? So
Yeah, I'm not feeling that security that I would like to feel in our current location, but I'm going to open the new location as a second location, and see how that feels, how it goes, um, and and just kind of know that where we are now. Like if something comes up and it just doesn't work anymore, then we have a safe space to be in this new location.
got it. Well, it's fun to go in yesterday. I have this picture, and that is Rachel, right?
Rebecca.
Rebecca. Oh my gosh, sorry about that. Please, I have, if she's listening, my 1,000 pardon. But it was great to see you in the space. It's a great spot. But wherever you land next time is probably going to be even greater. So, thanks for being my guest, Jody. What a great conversation with
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, and I don't know who's watching right now, but all these cute little hearts that are popping up on the side, it's just been so awesome.
Well, let's everybody give Jody a virtual round of applause here. And Jody, you should watch for and expect $1 million light bulb. So you'll proudly put that somewhere in your space.
That's
That
awesome.
that makes you a member of the Brain Trust. And we certainly would, because it's right in town, I'm sure we'll be seeing you at Lightbulb Moments at the Phil next May. So you'll get to meet other Lightbulb Moment podcast interviewees at that point. So thanks again for joining us.
Absolutely. I also saw at the beginning of this something in Palm Springs in October that I feel like I'm probably going to get off right now and start looking at flights.
Well, if you get that second location,
Right?
yep.
Yeah. Be
All right.
prepared. Thank you, Tom.
All right. Thanks. All right. We'll wrap this up here and let me just see what else I have for you folks. Today, the only other thing I just again want to give a shout out to our sponsors. And all of you for taking the time to listen in. It's just really fun to interview people like Jody. And then last week, interview Shannon. There's just such great stories and people with such big hearts and such great combinations of heart and smart. So, and Jody fits into that category. So thanks, everybody. We will see you next week. And I appreciate you all. Bye.